Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our virtual classroom. Hope everybody is doing all right and hope everybody is staying safe. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our lesson, our math lesson for today. Okay, I want everybody to look back here on my table for a minute. And here is my question to you. I want to ask you all, can anybody think of any units that we use to measure the length of objects? So if I want to measure the length of an object, how can I measure it? The object that we want to measure. I want to give everybody a minute. And for those who still are trying to get an idea of what I am asking, I'll go ahead and get started. We can measure object in inches. What else can we measure it in? If you said we can measure it by feet, you are correct. We can also measure it in yards. There's something else way bigger than a yard. How would you measure the distance from one place to another? You can also measure it in yards. So we can measure the length of an object in inches, feet, yards, or miles. Let me see. Can anybody think of any others? Who remembers millimeters? We can measure object in millimeters. What else can you think of that's related to millimeters? What's a little bit bigger than a millimeter? If you said centimeters, you are correct. There's one more unit that's bigger than a centimeter, much bigger than a centimeter. If I take 100 of these and put them together, that would make, if you said meters, you guessed correct. So here are some units that we can use to measure the length of an object. We can use inches, feet, yards, or miles. We can also use millimeters, centimeters, and meters. You probably wonder why I did not put them on the same paper. The reason I put them on the same paper because they're two different units of measures. So in two different systems, inches, feet, yards, and miles are part of the U.S. customary system. While millimeters, centimeters, and meters are part of the metric system. So that is the difference right here. Inches, feet, yards, and miles, that is part of the U.S. customary system. So these are basically the units we use to measure here in the United States. Where metric, millimeters, centimeters, and meters, they use in Canada and they use in countries in Europe, South America, Asia. So they pretty much use these outside the U.S. We use them sometimes here too, but these are what they mainly use outside of the United States. So so we're going to be focusing on these two systems this week. But today, we are basically going to use the U.S. customary system. We're going to use inches, feet, yards, and miles. So that's the measurements we are going to use today for our lesson. And our lesson today is converting small units to large units. That is our lesson. So what does it mean when I say convert small units to large units? So that means what I am going to be doing today is I am going to be measuring some objects. And when I measure these objects, we're going to measure them in 2 units. So for example, I may take one object, I may measure it in inches and then measure it in feet. I may take another object, I may measure that object in feet and measure it in yards. So I'm measuring with one object with 2 different units. So that's what I mean. I'm going to start with the small unit and then measure it with the large unit. So let me show you all what that means. So to start off today, there are 2 things I'm going to use to help us measure today. I'm going to use our ruler And I'm going to use my tape measure because the objects that two objects we're going to be measuring today are going to be pretty big. So let's go ahead and start with the first object we're going to measure. And once again, we're going to measure it in 2 units. We're going to start measuring the smaller unit, and we're going to measure it. Then we're going to measure it with a large unit. So we're going to start with my armoire here. This is the first thing we're going to measure. So I am going to measure this armoire in 2 units. I'm going to measure it in inches. Then I'm going to measure in feet. But for our rule today, we are going to measure the smaller units first. So today we're going to measure our armoire here, or my armoire, in inches. So now, I could use my ruler, but it's too small. It would take much longer. It wouldn't be as accurate. So we're going to go ahead and use our tape measure. So let's go ahead and start off with inches. Let's go ahead and measure this in inches. So let me just move this back a little bit. There we go. I'm going to take my tape measure, stick it here to the end. Hold on 1 minute. There we go. Oops. And then I'm going to just stretch it out. Whoops. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Give me a minute. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So as you see, I am measuring it from one end to the other. One end to the other. I'm going to measure it in inches. If I look at these big black numbers, those are inches on our tape measure. So let's see where it stops, and that will tell us how many inches long it is. When we look at it, from one end of the armoire is 44 inches. So let's go ahead and write down 44 inches. It's 44 inches long. So this armoire is 44 inches long. Now that I know how long it is in inches, now I want to know how long is it in feet. How can I figure out how long this is in feet? We already know how long it is in inches. We want to know how long it is in feet. Okay, so there are 2 ways I can do it. I can use this tape measure to help us figure out the feet, but let's pretend I don't have a tape measure. How am I going to measure this? Well, we're going to have to take these inches and we're going to convert them into feet. So you probably ask Mr. Johnson, how are we going to take these inches and convert them into feet? This is how we're going to do it. We're going to take all these 44 inches and we're going to convert them into feet. Here's how we're going to do it. So we're turning them from inches to feet. Inches to feet, right? Inches to feet. Here's my question for everybody. How many inches does it take to make a foot? You probably should have learned this back from 2nd grade. So how many inches are in a foot? Well, let's go here and look for a minute. Back on our ruler. Kind of light, but that's okay. We look on a ruler, and this ruler is 1 foot long. We'll see that there are 12 inches. So it takes 12 whole inches to make 1 foot. So since it takes 12 whole inches to make 1 foot, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take those whole, matter of fact, let me give you a visual. So we're taking these inches and we're measuring and turning them into feet, right? So since there are 12 inches, takes 12 inches to make a foot, we're going to take 44 inches and divide it by 12. So what's 44 inches divided by 12? So because we're taking these 44 inches and we're breaking them up. So since we're breaking them up into feet, since 12 inches make a foot, we're taking 44 inches and we're breaking all those 44 inches up by 12 inches to make feet. So let's go ahead. What is 44 divided by 12? Let me see if I can find my calculator. 44 divided by 12. When I take my calculator, and you may use your calculator for this assignment also. 44 inches divided by 12 equals 3.67 feet. So when I take my calculator and take 44 divided by 12, you might see 3.666. I'm going to round it off. 44 inches divided by 12 on the calculator is 3.67. 3.67 what? 3.67 feet. So there are two sizes for this armoire. I can say it's 44 inches long, or I could say it's 3.67 feet long. So there's two sizes. It's 44 inches long, or it's also 3.67 feet long. Matter of fact, let's say that I do have my tape measure. And if you look, you'll see that it says 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, and then add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's about 3 feet, a little under 3 feet, about 1/3, 2/3 of a foot. So either way, there are two sizes for this. If I measure it in inches, it's 44 inches long. If I measure it in feet, it's 3.67 feet long. Okay, let's go ahead and try another example. So I'm going to take my ruler, and we are going to step into my living room. And we are going to go to my front door. Give everybody a visual. So this is the front door of my house. We are going to measure this front door in 2 units. We're going to measure this in inches. Then we're going to measure it in feet. So once again, our rule for this week is when we measure it this week, we are going to start with the smaller unit. And I've written it down. Which is the smaller unit? Which is smaller, inches or feet? Said inches are smaller. You are correct. So let's go ahead and measure it in inches. And once I scan, like I said, I could measure my ruler, but that would take too long. So I am going to use my tape measure. I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to go all the way up to the top. So let me go ahead and get my ruler, get my tape measure, Start here at the top. Let's see how many inches it is. When I go to the very top of the door, round it up, it's a little bit taller than 80. So from the bottom of my door to the top is about 81 inches. So let's go ahead and write down 81 inches. Oops. Okay. So this door is 81 inches tall. That's how tall it is, 81 inches tall. Now, we know how tall it is in inches. Let's figure out how tall it is in feet. So once again, we're going to pretend we do not have this tape measure, and we're going to measure this by feet. So just like I did with my armoire, how am I going to take these inches and measure into feet? How am I going to take these inches and break it down into feet? Once again, how many inches does it take to make 1 foot? How many inches does it take to make 1 foot? It takes 12 inches to make 1 foot. So we're going to take 81 inches divided by 12. 81 inches divided by 12. What is 81 divided by 12? So we take 81 inches, take those entire 81 inches, break it up by 12 inches, and that's going to tell us how many feet tall this door is. So what's 81 inches divided by 12? 81 inches divided by 12. Let me look here on my calculator. So when I take 81 divided by 12, 81 divided by 12, if you calculated 6.75, you are correct. 6.75 what? This is we measured in inches, but now we're turning it into what? We're turning it into feet. So this door has two measurements. I could say it's 81 inches tall, or I could say it's 6.75 feet tall. How did I turn it to 6.75 feet? I took 81 inches divided by 12 because they're 12 inches in a foot. So 81 inches by 12 equals 6.75 feet. And if you get confused, you don't forget it, don't worry, because here is what we're going to do next. I'll get my stuff again. We're going to go back into my dining room and take a very good look at this, because this is going to be your cheat sheet for your assignment. So move a little closer. This is a guide that you're going to use to help you convert smaller units to larger units. If you, when you're doing your assignment, you don't remember what to do, just play this video back, come back to this sheet. If I get a chance, I'll try to upload a conversion chart. So here is the rules. When converting a smaller unit to a larger unit, if you want to convert inches to feet, divide the total inches by 12 inches. So you're going to take the entire, you measure the object, find the inches. After you find the inches, if you want to find the feet, take those inches and divide it by 12, and that will tell you how many feet it is. Now, let's say we want to convert those feet to yards. Now, let's say we have an object. We measure in feet, and I want to convert it to yards. Here is what I'm going to do. We're going to divide the total feet by 3 feet. So, for example, and I just said, hoping, nobody gets confused. But if I want to convert an object from feet to yards, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure that object in feet, divide it by 3. So it says 3 feet in the yard, and then that will tell you the total yards. So if I want to convert feet to yards, divide the total feet by 3 feet. Now, pay attention, because you're also going to use this for the night's assignment. So let's say if you want to convert the feet to miles, you are going to divide the total feet by 5,280 feet. Why you say 5,280 feet? Because it's 5,280 feet. It takes 5,280 feet to make a whole mile. And this is your formula. If you want to convert feet into miles, take the total number of feet, divided by 280, and then that will give you your total miles. So I'm going to give you the chart one more time. When converting a smaller unit to a larger unit, if you want to convert inches to feet, give it a little closer. There we go. If you want to convert inches to feet, divide the total inches by 12 inches. If you want to convert feet to yards, divide the total feet by 3 feet. If you want to convert feet to miles, divide the total feet by 5,280 feet. So I'm going to keep it there for a minute. Like I said, if I get a chance, I'll try to upload this onto Google Classroom so everybody can use it for their assignment. Okay, so we're going to do one more thing before we go over our assignment. So if you notice here, pay it very close attention, because you're going to use this to help you out with your assignment. So if you look here, I have 2 columns. I have a column here, and then the lengths are in inches. I have 72 inches, 30 inches, and 8 inches. I want to take these 3 sizes, these 3 lengths, and I want to convert them to feet. So I want to convert these inches to feet. Let's look back at our formula. How are we going to convert inches to feet? Oh, wait a minute. It's the same thing we did when we were measuring the armoire and measuring the door. We are going to take those inches and divide it by 12. Why are we dividing it by 12? Because it takes 12 whole inches to make a foot. So we are going to take 72 inches divided by what? 72 inches divided by how many inches does it take to make a feet? 72 divided by 12. And what is 72 divided by 12? Look on your calculator. Use your brain. Because it's actually a division fact. You said 72 inches divided by 12 equals 6. You are correct. 6 what? 6 feet. Okay. Now get your calculator ready for this. 30 inches. 30 inches divided by what? We're taking inches and converting it into feet. 30 inches divided by 12. Because it takes 12 inches to make a foot. All right. Use your calculator. Use your paper. Either one. What's 30 inches divided by 12? What's 30 divided by 12? If you say that 30 divided by 12 equals 2.5, you are correct. 2.5 what? We're turning inches into feet. 2.5 feet. Okay. Now we got 8 inches. Smaller than a foot. That's okay. 8 inches divided by what? 8 inches divided by 12. So this one, we're not going to have a whole foot. So what's 8 inches divided by 12? Or what's 8 divided by 12? Use a calculator, piece of paper. 8 divided by 12 equals what? If you said 8 divided by 12, on my calculator, I have 0.67. 0.67 what? 0.67 feet. So for this one, I don't have a whole feet. I have a part of a foot. So that's okay. So 72 inches is the same as 6 feet. 30 inches is the same as 2.5 feet. 8 inches is the same as 0.67 feet. So I have just taken these inches and I've converted them to feet. How did I do that? By dividing them by 12. Okay, let's move on to the next one. A couple more examples and then we're going to go over our assignment. Okay, on this column I have sizes that are in feet. And I'm going to take these sizes and I want to convert them into yards. So we're going to take 12 feet. We're going to take 12 feet and convert it into yards. We're going to take 2 feet and convert it into yards. Let's look back at our chart. How do I convert feet into yards? Let's go back to our cheat sheet. To convert feet by yards, to divide the total feet by 3 feet. Why is it divided by 3 feet? Think about it. How many feet does it take to make a whole yard? If you say it takes 3 feet to make a whole yard, you are correct. So that's why we're going to divide it by 3. So to convert these into yards, we're going to take 12 feet and divide it by 3. Take 3 feet, divide it by 3. So with your calculator or with your paper or your brains, because 12 divided by 3 is real easy. We're going to convert these feet into yards. What is 12 divided by 3? 12 divided by 3 equals 4. 4 what? We're converting these feet into yards. So 12 feet divided by 3 equals 4 yards. What about 2 feet divided by 3? So for this one, it's going to be under a yard because we don't have a whole yard. So 2 divided by 3. What's 2 divided by 3? On my calculator, I got 0.67. 0.67 what? 0.67 yards. Or even on a sheet of paper, I could say 3 divided by 2. What's 3 divided by... Oh, sorry. Wrong way. You could say 2 divided by 3. We'll come at that. That's messed up. Okay. See, maybe. Well, you know what? That's okay. 2 divided by 3. There we go. 6 times 3 is 18. Still get 6. So what do I do by calculator or I do it by paper? I'm going to still get the same thing. So 12 feet is the same as 4 yards. 2 feet is the same as 0.67 yards. Okay, now let's take these. Let's go on this chart. This is our last one. We're going to take these feet and we're going to convert it into miles. This is a big one. So yes, we can take feet and convert it into miles. How are we going to do that? Let's go to our cheat sheet. So to convert feet to miles, divide the total feet by 5,280 feet. Once again, why 5,280 feet? Guess what? How many feet are in a mile? You said 5,280 feet makes up an entire mile. You are correct. That's why we're dividing the feet by 5,280 feet. Okay. So 9,400 feet. We were going to convert these into miles. 9,400 feet divided by what? How many feet does it take to make a mile? 5,280 miles. So it's going to be 9,400 divided by 5,280. We got some big numbers here. So I'm going to let you go ahead and use your calculator, because this is a big number. There you go. 9,400 divided by 5,280. Give you a minute. If you said 1.78, you are correct. 1.78 what? We're converting these feet this time into miles. So 1.78 miles. So 9,400 feet is the same as 1.78 miles. What about 1,760 feet? I think this is going to be less than a mile, but that's okay. We can still divide it. 1,760 feet, we're converting these feet into what? Miles. And what we're going to use? 5,280. What's 1,000? Use your calculator. 1,760 feet divided by 5,280 equals, if you said it's going to equal 0.33, you are correct. 0.33 what? We're converting these feet into what? Miles. So 9,400 feet is the same as 1.78 miles. 1,760 feet is the same as 0.33 miles. Okay, so let me just go over this one more time so everybody kind of get understanding what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that I'm just use this chart because I don't want to confuse by it. I'm saying if we're converting inches to feet, 72 inches is the same as 6 feet. 30 inches is the same as 2.5 feet. 8 inches is the same as 0.67 feet. So we're going to, I'm saying 9,400 feet is the same as 1.78 miles. 1,760 feet is the same as 0.33 miles. You know what, we'll go ahead. I'm saying that 12 feet is the same as 4 yards and 2 feet is the same as 0.67 yards. So this is how we take small units and convert it to larger units. So let me go and show you our cheat sheet one more time. Then we're going to go over today's assignment. And this is the chart you're going to use to help you do this assignment that we're about to go over. Okay, so let's go on to today's assignment. And for today, you're just going to have one assignment. So here is what you're going to upload. You're going to upload practicing conversions with length. And once again, we're using inches, feet, yards, and miles. So use the conversion tables to fill in the missing information to convert from the smaller unit to the larger. So you have 2 pages, one from front. This is the back page. So we have 5. Let's start with this chart here, because our first chart here wants us to convert these feet into miles. So when you convert these feet into miles, use the cheat sheet that I showed you earlier. That I actually showed you a minute ago. And how are we going to do that? We're converting feet to miles. Take 5,280 feet and divide it by 5,280 feet, and that will give you the mile. Okay. For the second chart, you're going to convert these feet into yards. And you are going to use the chart that I just showed you to help you out. Also, don't forget to answer the questions. After you convert the feet to mile, what is the rule for conversion from feet to miles? We just went over that on the chart. When you convert these feet into yards, what is the rule for conversion from feet to yards? We just went over that on the chart. For this last chart, you're going to convert these inches into feet. Use the chart. And then answer this question. What is the rule from conversion to inches to feet? Real simple. Look on your chart. And then for the last page, you are going to convert these measurements. Okay. So take these measurements, use the chart to help you. You're going to take these measurements and you are going to convert them over from inches to feet, or feet to yards, or yards to mile. And then answer number 5. Okay. I think that's about it. This assignment will be due Friday. And once again, it's just going to be one assignment. It's not going to be 2. It's just going to be 1 for this assignment. I hope everybody understood it. If you had any questions or any problems, just contact me on Google Classroom or Classroom Dojo. And I will see everybody on Wednesday mornings. Everybody stay safe and have a good day.